order to be able to expose good? Yes or no? Absolutely not. Of course you can be good while you know about evil. Why do you have to practice evil? There's no need to have a yin-yang experience in this. Tarot, foretelling the future, either by direct revelation from spirits or through the cards or through the stars. Seeds of magic. Magic is a very important component of occultism. So you'll find this being propagated more and more and more and more in the schools and through the media and the entertainment world. Stephen O'Brien, voices from heaven. So you have communication with the dead, you have communication with spirit beings. And then of course the archetypes of the zodiac embrace femininity and make the role of the woman very prominent. Because Eve fell, the redemption has to come through a woman, and the new woman, whether it is the goddess or whether you make Mary the goddess, is the one that succeeds where Mary failed. So you have feminism embraced this as well. Powers of the rays, light becomes very important, and they call themselves the enlightened ones, the illuminated ones. That's where the Illuminati comes from. And it is the same in Eastern mysticism. You have Buddhism and the lotus, which refers to the coming of the cosmic and the Christ, various aspects of the Christ. You have candle burning rituals, and you have symbolism such as the sun and the sun blazes behind the heads, and triangles become very important, life forces, alchemy. And alchemy, in the final analysis, no longer concentrates so much on producing gold out of baser metals, but alchemy concentrates on producing the golden personality, the light-giving personality, the light-giving being out of the baser product that existed before. So in the age of Aquarius, we will learn to become God. That was the promise of the serpent. By the way, crystals are reflectors or channelers of this light, and the rose is a symbol of Lucifer. It's one of his main symbols. Now let me get one thing straight here. Everything that exists on this planet was created by whom? By God. So if the devil wants to make the rose his main symbol, so be it. Does that mean I cannot take a rose into my house or plant it in my garden? Of course not. God made the rose. Who's he to say that it's his? It's God's rose. I can take the rose in my house. I don't care what his symbols are. So as far as all these symbols are concerned, and there are hundreds of them, we will be dealing with them and showing them and exposing them. But I don't have to be afraid of them. They're just stupid lines on a piece of paper and stupid little silly games that these people play in their little secret little mysteries and their secret communications. It's like a bunch of kids at school with secret passwords and handshakes and like that. It's silly. It's pathetic when you think about it. I get quite worked up about it occasionally. I must calm down. Ancient magic of the New Age. Now let's have a little closer look again at some of the more interesting details. Planetary magic. Now this is a New Age book, and there again you find the same symbolism as you had in Catholicism and that you had in Masonry. There are the twin pillars. Let's look this a little bit larger. Twin pillars, and you will see that it is the dragon that is involved, because the dragon encircles the pillars. And on the one hand you have the half moon, and you have the sun being born in the half moon, and that is Baal Hadad. That's the sacrifice. So it's exactly the same as if you had put the Eucharist there in the form of the Mass, because that's what it represents. And on the other hand, here you have the face of Apollo on the sun. Now in Catholicism you put Mary there, which is just the female aspect of the same God, Apollo. So whether you put him there in his male form or whether you put him there in his female form, it doesn't really matter. It's one and the same. Because when you look at the top, what do you have there? You have the eagle's wings, and you have androgyny. You have the male-female aspect joined at the hips. It's a sexual cult. It's androgynous. So sun, moon, and star worship are the aspects that we find in the New Age movement. It's the same aspects we find in all the religions. Now, in order to achieve godhood, mankind has to be born again. So it is a born-again experience. Now, if you are a Freemason, you also go through a baptism, but not a biblical one. You go and lie either on the floor covered up in a death shroud, and you are raised by the lion's grip by the worshipful master, or you go and lie in a coffin, and you get raised out of a coffin. In Catholicism, if you join a special order or a nun's order, they also have to lie in a coffin, and they are raised up out of the coffin. So that is born again. So a Mason can say, yes, I am born again. And he would mean something totally different to what someone else says. And in order to achieve a higher state of consciousness, often you have to go through this process with a little bit of assistance, and drugs and beat and rhythm, and all of those play a part. So here you have Fallen Angel. This is a product that is sold. It's called a smart drink. Now, you all have smart drinks in this country as well. I don't know what you call them over here. In our country, we have all kinds of smart drinks. They're very high in caffeine and substances like that. And these smart drinks actually enhance drugs. So if you have young people who are on ecstasy, for example, and then they don't have ecstasy, if they take a smart drink and they have the right rhythm, it will kick in the same experience, put them into an altered state of consciousness, and they can experience this feeling of being on a higher level and becoming gods or Christs. So the drug world is going to become very, very prominent, and these so-called smart drinks are not so smart at all. They're actually pathetically stupid drinks, and we shouldn't really take them. I don't know what they call them over here. You have things like a certain color bull, for example, and it gives you wings and things like that. Have you got those stupid adverts as well in this country? I haven't seen them since I'm here. This is the package. You can buy it in this particular store in Europe, and it says, warning, this bag contains up to 100% G's no. In other words, what it's basically saying, when you buy this, there's no Jesus in it. 100% no Jesus. You are worshipping the other one. And then they have the symbol of the skull and the bones, which is the symbol of Satan, the god of the dead. If we go into the computer world, our young people are bombarded with witchcraft. There's a game that they played a few years ago which was called Hexen, which is the reverse of Revelation, which puts Lucifer on the top as the victor and Christ at the bottom as the loser. And the graphics in this were absolutely horrendous. Now, all of this doctrine that we shall be like gods comes from the very beginning. The lie in the beginning, and we dealt with it last night. The serpent was more cunning than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said to the woman, is it so that God has said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said to the serpent, we may eat of the tree of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the middle of the garden, God has said, you shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. And the serpent said to the woman, you shall not surely die. Now, we dealt with that in great detail last night. For God knows that in the day that you eat of it, then your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Now, if this ploy was so successful with the unfallen Adam and Eve, how much more successful is it going to be at the end of time with fallen mankind? And so the New Age movement is the mass media arm of the occult world. It is controlled by Freemasonry, which in turn is controlled by Catholicism. I'll show you that in future lectures, so hang around. I'll show it to you from their own symbols and from their own mouths. And this doctrine must go out to the media. And they'll do everything in their power to change this generation into an occult generation, because Satan